All right, so real quick, I'm Scott Anderson. I'm the executive director at Forge Institute. Just kind of a little overview of what Forge does. We have our Forge Fellowship, our Forge Academy, where we've partnered with ACDS for about 2 years, who is co-hosting today with us. And then we also have our Emerging Threat Center, Innovation Labs, and then the Arkansas Cyber Defense Alliance. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. Just kind of wanted to highlight what Forge does. And I tell people lots of times that, hey, we're not doing it by ourselves, but we're turning Arkansas into a cyber state, not just the natural state. And I like the way that sounds. Love what Arkansas is doing around computer science, technology, cyber. That term is used in a general capacity. I lump all tech into that. So that being said, since we lost a little time, we're going to go ahead and jump over to the next slide, Crystal. And I really want to thank Frank and Barrett for being here. We're going to hear about their program at JB Hunt and how they're working with veterans, because that's the focus of today, along with the apprenticeship program. So this week is National Apprenticeship Week. We're going to hear a little bit from ACDS and what they're working on this week, but also what they're doing in the state of Arkansas focused around apprenticeships. Today we're highlighting some veterans, and Frank and Barrett, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm excited to hear about y'all's program.
Sweet, thanks. Everyone hear us okay? Cool.
I hear you great.
Awesome. Well, hey everyone, thanks for joining us. As Frank's pulling up our slide deck, and I don't know if you need to stop sharing, Scott, in order for us to do it or what, but as he's pulling that up, we're from JB Hunt. And for those that know about JB Hunt, most of the time you think of us as being a transportation logistics company, and we are. That's what we do. We're one of the top 3 in North America in doing that. But one of the major things that we do that we've been really focused on the last 5 to 6 years is our engineering and technology division. We've grown this exponentially. Our CIO, when he joined the company 6 years ago, said that he wants to take us from an asset company that has some technology to a technology company that has some assets. And so the real focus that he has done for us is grown us from 300 employees in our engineering technology division all the way up to over 2,000. And so one of the big ways that he wants to continue to grow us is what we're calling our JB Hunt Veterans Engineering and Technology Transition and Spouses Program. That's a mouthful, so we're calling it VETS for short. And so there's a couple of key points we want to call out in this as talking with our over 75 veterans that are just within our engineering and technology organization. One of the big things they talked about was transition being the key. How do we help service members that are exiting the military join JB Hunt and make that transition smooth as possible? And then the other big thing that they really talked about is the trailing spouses. And so how can we really support the trailing spouses or the family through helping the spouses get jobs as well? So we are focused on helping them get jobs here at JB Hunt in one of our 5 business units, and or if it doesn't work here, getting their resume out in front of other companies in Northwest Arkansas, such as Walmart, Tyson, Beckert, Simmons, in the partnerships we've built. And so that's what we're here to talk to you about. We've been partnering with ACDS now for a little over a year as our sponsor of our IT apprenticeships as well. And we actually have quite a few different avenues that we can go with this. So Frank, I'll kick it to you and let you talk about kind of the purpose of our VETS program.
Yeah, thank you, Barrett. And it's really an honor and a privilege to be here, and we appreciate the opportunity to be with this group. Really exciting for us in so many ways. So several things we're trying to accomplish here. So when we look at the purpose of the VETS program, some of the aspects have existed outside the IT space in JB Hunt for a while. So we're growing, we're learning, and to be very transparent, we're stubbing our toes a little bit in how to do this well. And so but we're excited about the potential that it has for us, and the people we're already seeing come through the program is incredible. So we are really, really excited about this. But really, let's look at these 3 items here. So first, we want to increase the number of veterans we're hiring. So E&T, engineering and technology, that's what we call all of our application development, IT, networking, that's all of E&T. And the talent pipeline, we're struggling like a lot of growing companies to get good talent and get them hired and brought in. And so definitely appreciate the opportunity to lean into the military space and bring that as an additional source of great talent and experience that we're seeing. As Scott mentioned earlier, upskilling and reskilling, that's definitely one of the things we're focusing on too. So part of what we'll talk a little more about here in a moment, our apprenticeship and training programs that we want to build and are building to transition not only the skill side, but also, as Barrett just alluded, the spouse and the family element, all of that into the corporate life. And we'll talk more as well about how we pair and mentor the individuals as they're coming through. And then we want to be an employer of choice. We want to build our reputation as a great place for veterans through support, through career growth, career opportunity, and just all of this brought to bear through a great place to live. We are extremely proud of the state of Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas and the opportunities, not only within the walls of the company or the virtual walls, but also all the great things to do around us. The trail system literally runs right through our campus. I think that's just one of the coolest things ever. We're right in the middle of the 36-mile Razorback Greenway trail system. And that's just one of many, many things, of course, in the area, as all of us around here know. So that's kind of the purpose. We'll jump down to our next. So Barrett, you want to cover the pipelines?
Yeah, and so one of the things that Frank just alluded to is that we're stubbing our toes. Why? Because we are building this plane in the sky. We've launched our VETS program here a little over 30 days ago, and the response has been phenomenal. And we're trying to pilot as we do this because we want to make sure that we don't grow too fast. But we really have identified 4 key areas or 4 pipelines in which we're trying to grow. One is what, we understand that all this is underneath the Skill Bridge program, but what we're really calling our Skill Bridge pipeline are those service members that are really taking control of their own career, reaching out to the companies individually and looking to make connections. So we have that pipeline that we have. When they reach out to us, we respond, we connect them, do a screen, get their resume, assign them sort of a mentor at that point to help them with the resume if they need it. And then as we go through the interview process, we solidify the mentorship and make sure it's a good fit. Another pipeline we have is hiring our heroes. This one, as you may be familiar with, is much more of a structured program that the Chamber of Commerce and the military has put together, in which it's a 12-week program. They spend 11 weeks with us, and we craft a learning program for them, like we would with the Skill Bridge, but it's much more defined in that time, where Skill Bridge can be up to 6 months. Another one that we're partnering with is ERA Solutions, is kind of our sponsor for the Vet Tech program, which we're really honing in on our cyber roles and security engineers, as well as our software engineers, where we'll look to hire a group of military service members and then upskill them in software engineering, whether it's mobile or web dev. And they'll spend their time and their Skill Bridge time learning with a training provider, getting 320 hours of training. And then once they're done with that, they'll be eligible to join J.B. Hunt. And we interview those candidates on the front end as well as on the back end to make sure that the front end is more about as a fit for our culture and our company, and that they would want to come here. And then the back end is to make sure that's still true, but also assess their technical abilities that they've got. And then our direct hire. And this is one where you might have a veteran that has heard about JB Hunt, or that has heard about our programs, and they're out of the military or getting ready to transition out, and they're ready to start the job role immediately. And so we work with them to get them plugged in, to assign them a mentor, to get them in the job roles. And to be clear on this, we are looking to hire for 8 roles on our VETS program. We're looking for business analysts, and we're looking for product owners. We're looking for software engineers, security engineers, program management, organizational change management, and then also managers in the engineering technology space. And I think I hit them all. If I missed one, we'll go back and cover it, but I think I got it there. So that's kind of the 4 pipelines we got. And then the process, I kind of want to kick it over to Frank to kind of explain to y'all what our process looks like for intaking a candidate. So Frank, why don't you go ahead and talk to him about that?
Yeah, so we taking those 4 pipelines as the different avenues that they come in, and we're at the early stages of understanding, for example, hiring our heroes. We haven't yet engaged on an actual in-flight cohort, but that's what we're prepping to do. We've started working more so with the individual contacts through SkillBridge, and so as we learn more of those, our intake process, we're in define and refine mode. We're also working with our internal teams on how do we accomplish those handshakes more effectively, things like the HR team. So how, that's all kind of behind the walls, but it's a big part of making sure there's a good positive experience, and we're effective and efficient in our communication and getting candidates to the right place with the right program that meets their needs. But part of then, as we move down the funnel to the next stage of vetting, we want to understand, exactly who is a candidate for what areas, what are their location needs, what are their dates and timeframes, what are their interest areas. One of the topics that we talk a lot about, and this is one of Barrett's favorite things, and it's a fantastic conversation piece, is we love to talk about the passion of the person. And it's one of the neatest things to see, the surprise, because some of these people haven't been asked that question, or maybe ever, or in a long time, and to really, it kind of just explodes in a positive emotion of, hey, this is really cool. There's something I can latch onto more as I look to my next career. And a lot of that really is about getting them in the right place for them, as well as merging and meeting what our needs are in the different roles that Barrett laid out, that we can all achieve the goals of building careers and launching second careers, as the case may be, while we're meeting the business needs. We're trying to grow fast as a company, and so we've got a lot of opportunity in getting people in the right place is a big part of this. So then, as we go through those first stages of understanding, well, and just one other point there, sorry. In the 30 days Barrett mentioned, we've been kind of on the mode. We've assessed about 200 resumes, and we found about 60% or so of those that we want to take to the next phase. So we're seeing some very fertile ground, really, in terms of candidates and opportunities. So we're really loving this. So then we move into interviews. So we, in the Developer Center of Excellence, where Barrett and I are, try to serve as kind of intermediaries to help get candidates to the right places. So we're working with our internal teams, the HR teams, as well as the hiring managers, to do some preliminary assessment and matching, and then bring a list of candidates while we're working within the different guidelines and timelines of the different programs back to the intake pipelines, and making sure we have all the right I's dotted and T's crossed, or is it the other way? And sometimes we do it backwards and try to correct that. But then move the candidates through, and then get them into the right match ultimately. So we may start with someone who we think is a program manager candidate, and through conversation and understanding of what their passions are and their objectives, maybe they're a better fit for an organizational change manager. And I have to relay this because it was just one of many great experiences. We were in an interview yesterday and asked a candidate, do you have any concerns, issues about speaking, to the executive level in the company about project, and that's part of what this role as a program manager can entail, and any concerns about working up and down across the levels of the organization. And just a very matter-of-fact statement of, I brief the general every week, sir. And so I was like, okay, understood. I think we're in the right place then. So, just those kinds of conversations are really enlightening and help us understand and get people in the right place for them, as well as meeting the needs that we have to continue our growth. So that's kind of our process. in a nutshell. And like we said several times, we're still kind of getting how the handoffs and connections work better, and we'll continue doing that for certain. So then, Barrett, if you want to step us through here our detail sheet.
Yeah, and the reason why we did focus on the process is because that's been one of the biggest things we understand from a lot of the service members is, hey, what can we expect? And so we really want to be upfront with them and transparent, and with you guys as you might be pitching JB Hunt as a supporter or interested in joining us, is that you kind of understand. So this is the sheet that we get out there to our DoD partners on their website. And the core offering here that we want to be clear on is that we offer training, job placement, networking, and apprenticeships. And so those are like the 4 phases that we really the pillars that we want to help out with. If you notice on the bottom left over there, I'm the point of contact for the engineering technology, our VETS program, but we have a SkillBridge program lead, and his name's Eric Arola, which we're going to talk a little bit about here in a moment. But he is so if you have someone that might be interested outside engineering technology, there are he's our corporate military hiring strategist, and that. So, but what we're really looking for in that essence is someone that is forward-thinking, high energy, and that can really dive in and just really add value. From there, we can help get the skills and teach someone the skills that they need, as long as there's some aptitude there. The VETS program, it is exclusive to Northwest Arkansas at this time. As we go through the pilot, remote after you go through the program and hired as a full-time employee is definitely something we're exploring. But we want to give the best onboarding experience and best training experience we can. And so that's why we're looking for the Northwest Arkansas. And it has the occupations that we're looking for. And it's a 90 to 180 day time period working with the individual. So therefore, they have plenty of time to get upskilled or reskilled, and they feel comfortable with us. So, Frank, if you want to maybe talk a little bit, let me talk about the supporting resources. So what we do to support the member, we have our steerco. We have a 7-person committee. They're made up from one from each branch of the military, as well as a few key leaders, which in ENT, and Frank and I are both part of that as well. And then we really have asked and added this advisory council. While the program is overseen by the steerco, the advisory council really executes the direction, and they serve as a mentor. Like I said, we have 75 veterans in ENT, and we're tapping them to be those mentors for these people to help them with the transition and the skills. So hopefully we can pair them up with a member from their branch of service, as well as a similar job role. So they're really matched up well and feel supported. And then if you go and kick ahead, Frank, if you, oops. Yep, there we go. And so if you talk a little bit about our other programs so they understand that it's just not ENT.
Yeah, so, and I failed to mention this when talking about the intake process, but the other part of the SkillBridge effort that Barrett just alluded to with Eric Arola, who's been here with the company a long time as a veteran, 30-year plus career here. This is one of his slides. These are, and his program for non-ENT has been in place in JB Hunt now for a couple of years. And these are the locations where we have operations typically on site at a customer location where we have active, you can see interns active right now. There are additional confirmed, just not yet started, more hired, and then some other levels of activity across coast to coast, as you can see, keyed around some of where our businesses operate, but these are out in the field. So part of what we work through in the intake process is helping understand with the candidate their needs, their goals, their interests, their backgrounds, and working with Eric and continuing to refine how we share and share information, because our company hiring practices are separate in terms of ENT and non-ENT, but here we want to provide a common interface and a good experience for candidates as they're coming through. So part of what we're doing is literally multiple times a day, we're syncing up with Eric on, hey, this candidate looks like they're really more interested in the operational side, or vice versa. This person maybe has skills in both. Let's take them down both paths and find the best fit there. So a good presence that we're looking to fill in this with a lot more as time goes on here in the near future.
And the only other call I don't make on this is that we have tons of locations in these other states, Missouri, Illinois, Kansas, Washington, Oregon, Northern California, that don't have participants. So if you know of someone that might be exiting and they're like, oh man, they're from Minnesota, and then like to, go back to that, we have locations there. Just currently right now in our program, there isn't anyone that has wanted to, that hasn't been a match for that. Either they haven't wanted to join there or whatnot. So definitely lots of opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. We have over 300 locations in the country, so many not represented here with current placements. Okay, and then
so these are a couple of people that we want to highlight. The first one, we'll start on the left, which the picture is actually, the description is on the bottom. So David and Amanda Johnston. David joined our risk management team in May of 2021, and he was hired through an intern through the Hiring Our Heroes Fellowship. And now he is a director. Matter of fact, he's had 2 jobs. He came over to the OCM team. I got to work with him closely as on one of my sister teams. And then one FMS, our final mile solutions services, they tapped him and said, hey, we'd like to promote you up a couple levels and have you be a director because of what he was able to do and impact. And his wife, Amanda, does not work at JB Hunt. She was able to get another job. And so they're happily living here and doing well. Jasmine, on the other side over there, is started as SkillBridge intern in Final Mile. Both happen to be Final Mile. We have 4 other business units outside of that. And she was hired as a transportation manager, and that's our operations SkillBridge in July. And so she's doing well in that. So these are just 2 of the real people we wanted to highlight and show you, put faces with kind of what we're doing and understand just that, the program's growing, we're excited, and we're really happy to get to share today. And if you guys have questions, please reach out. And I think there's a little Q&A session at the end that we'll get to. So Scott, with that, I think we're going to kick it back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. A big fan of your program. I did 24 years Air Force, so I appreciate people who serve, and I have a lot of respect for individuals. I enjoyed my time that I spent in the military. I actually participated in the DoD SkillBridge program before I retired, not with Forge Institute, but Forge Institute now is a SkillBridge provider. So I'd like to explore some other opportunities with y'all, not during this call, but I think there's some conversations that we can definitely have.
We'd welcome it.
Now I'm going to pivot over. I really appreciate you guys sharing that. We're going to pivot over to Camp Alliance. I think Jody joined us. I think she can unmute everybody. This is Jody Bergstrom. She's the CEO of Camp Alliance. Their mission statement's up here on the slide, but I'd love to hear from you, Jody, and kind of talk about primarily maybe your Camp Connect, but also what you're doing to serve veterans in the state of Arkansas and beyond.
Absolutely. Hey, Scott, Team Forge Institute, thank you for putting this together. As you guys all know and have heard here on the call, what an amazing group to work with and collaborate and partner. So just a little bit about Camp Alliance. In 2010, we basically organized efforts to complement Department of Defense platforms to basically go hand in hand to promote readiness. And within that, it encompasses our veteran population as well. One of the platforms here today, I'm in Blytheville, Arkansas. So too fun. I'm sitting in a workforce center. But as you said, Scott, I want to talk just a little bit about our Camp Connect platform that we are introducing across the state. And really, it's a platform, but it also has a kiosk with it. So we're placing these kiosks in all of our workforce centers across the state. Our DMV is a wonderful partner of ours, Department of Workforce and Department of Human Services. And anyway, it goes from the aspect all the way down. It connects to already existing resources. And so when I say resources, I mean from careers to training, talking about apprenticeships today, but to health and wellness, mental health to physical, to child and family, child care, scholarships, all the way to emergency assistance with housing, legal, discharge certificates. And so all of this is on our Camp Connect platform. And so we're working to really put together a robust, just in linking all existing resources for our military and veterans and dependents in the state. And so you can find that on campconnect.info. You don't have to be at a kiosk, but again, that's campconnect.info. And we're about 120 days in of placing kiosks around the state. It's fairly new, but we have almost 10,000 120 days. 73% of those are just, we're noticing just a rise in that percentage of continual use and coming back to the platform. We are doing some great software updates. So that is a lot more resources, a lot more interaction. And so we hope to bring just some great things and added value to that platform. So anyway, yeah, so any questions?
I have a couple comments. Thank you, Jody, so much. Jody, I hope you had a chance to hear what Frank and Barrett were talking about. You can actually register on Camp Connect's site also if you wanted to be integrated in. So little plug here for Arkansas Center for Data Sciences. There may be an opportunity to kind of put some useful information for veterans, military spouses about what y'all are doing along with JB Hunt and their vets program to get connected with Jody.
Absolutely. And there's no charge at all to list your resource. And on the kiosk, which is really prime real estate, right? So we can build out a digital media screen. And if anybody wants to go to our website, it's campallianceinc.org here, and click on Camp Connect, and you can see a picture of the kiosks that are going out in the community. Like I said, we have 65. Today we'll have placed 31 of those 65. And they go anywhere from, and we even have them on military installations. So it's a great way and a place to post your resource. And like I said, it's amazing traction. It's just one of the platforms that we offer at Camp Alliance, but we love to integrate and collaborate and partner with other organizations and employers and universities and training, you name it, we love it. So
yeah, we at Forge love it as well, Jody. Thank you so much for sharing that. And the focus of the discussion today was about some opportunities for veterans. It is National Apprenticeship Week, so we're going to kind of pivot to specific apprenticeships. I'm a big fan of apprenticeship programs. We have partnered with ACDS, folks that go through our boot camps at Forge. Some of them are apprentices, some of them are not, but it's really just making it aware to organizations, to individuals, that apprenticeships work. It doesn't matter what you call them. We like the word apprentice, but I think about what we do at Forge with our interns. They are pretty much apprentices. You look at different pathways that individuals take. Me, like I said, military, I was an apprentice in the military multiple times because I changed jobs. And that's just the way you progress through a career. Some people have pathways where they go through school. Some have pathways through the military, and that's what we're highlighting today. Next, we're going to hear from Xander, who is an apprentice that went through ACDS and got into a data science apprenticeship. I can't remember the exact name of it, but he currently works at Blue Cross Blue Shield as a data steward. Xander, welcome. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, sure. First off, I just wanted to start off with, excuse that picture. That was after a long sweaty day at the brewery. The hair's looking a little.
I figured I'd leave a little like throwback in there, and then, you know, where you've come from, where you're now, kind of thing. So
Of course.
I think everybody wants to hear that.
For sure. So just to kind of start off, I joined the military right out of high school as a medic, and so enlisted as a lowly, private, and worked my way up to specialist. And then right as I was about to, I like to think that I would have made a decent sergeant, but I went the pathway of officer. Now I serve as the executive officer of a logistics company. And so I moved up from the maintenance platoon leader. So I was in charge of all of the different maintenance tasks and stuff from the battalion down. And then, so I kind of have a broad spectrum, I like to think, of kind of the different roles and leadership positions and such within the military. And so then I was a little bit military, and as far as the civilian world, obviously I'm National Guard, get to rock a beard, once a month for sure. So I take full advantage of that. And then after that, right out of college, I studied biology and got to move on to, as any college graduate, try to find a job. So found a Facebook ad for the local brewery here in Little Rock, Lost 40, was hiring a lab tech. And I thought, oh my goodness, if there was a job for me, it was to do science on beer. So what better job? So I applied, was able to get it. And so I was in charge of doing all of the quality control tests and quality analysis on the data to ensure that our product was the same batch after batch. And so from that kind of stemmed an interest in the data process. Don't realize how much data you collect on beer until you start collecting it. So my manager there showed a apprenticeship that he had found. And so he was like, hey man, would you be interested in this? So of course I would. Took the opportunity, got to have a great instructor with Don, and then moved through the program. And it was very interesting, learning all of the various skills that you would need in the data analysis, of all the way from the simple stuff of, Control A and Control T to make a table in an Excel spreadsheet, all the way up to coding in Python to do different analytic skills. So we got to talk about, like I said, different Excel functions, SQL, touched on that a little bit. We got to talk about Python, like I mentioned, talked about R script, just various different codings. They had a very broad net on all the different data analytic pieces, just to ensure that there was a, you would at least have heard of the term when you kind of moved on from it, so that you had a little recognition through it. So I was able to complete that and go through it. And a cool thing I was able to do was, again, at Lost 40, we had to do a kind of a capstone project at the end. So me and Don worked closely together to create a program within Python that was able to track our inventory of cans at the brewery, as you can see behind me in that picture. So those are all empty cans of the different labels and such that we created that needed to be filled. So we were able to track that inventory, track our production numbers, and then be able to predict when we would need to buy more inventory. So it was a pretty cool project to kind of cap that up. And then, so right upon graduation of the apprenticeship, which was, I believe that was November of 2020 is when I graduated, I came back and was able to segue into a career as a data steward here at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Kind of mentioned to some folks beforehand, it's not as active as working in a brewery for sure, but it definitely has its perks. Get to learn a lot, get to challenge myself a lot more here, and I've thoroughly enjoyed being able to, work within the different realms and kind of get a broad perspective, I guess. But that's all I had.
Thank you, Xander. Appreciate you sharing that. It's exciting to kind of see how that's worked through your military, your transitioning out, and then getting into an apprenticeship program. It's interesting working at a brewery, I'm sure. They have good food too. It's not just a brewery. I want to thank everybody. I think we're going to take a few minutes and have some discussion, some questions and answers. So I hope people unmute their mics or put a question in chat that maybe we can discuss.
So I do have a question, because I know we're kind of focused on veterans and moving into IT careers and apprenticeships. What are some of the challenges that you guys think or have experienced yourselves transitioning from military experience into civilian life and careers, and how are your programs at JB Hunt, Forge, ACDS, what are some of the experiences and opportunities that we have to be able to help with that transition?
So go ahead.
I was going to say, I did not actively serve. I did not serve. And so I can't speak specifically to your first part of your question. But the reason why we started this program up was because my brother-in-law works here at the company as well. And he served for 14 years. And my wife's good friend's husband now works here. And both of them have been promoted once or twice. But getting their resume in front of people and willing them to take a chance is what I've seen as a barrier. So that's why I really pitched this idea and we've started this program, was because of just having two people very close to me that I knew were amazing people and extremely skilled and that could benefit JB Hunt, but yet they had barriers. And those barriers were ones that could be easily overcome and shouldn't have been there in the first place. But they were there just because of our lack of understanding collectively of what the skill set that the veterans have and how easy it is to transition in here from a corporation side. I'm not saying it's easy for the service member, but how it's easy for the corporations to partner with them to help them come along. So very minimal effort on the corporation to get the benefit of those employees.
Yeah, that's great, Barrett. I can speak from, I'll try not to get on my soapbox, but I think I'm still learning like what clothes to wear. I used to have to shave every day, but obviously I don't now. But it's some of those just general things that veterans aren't real comfortable with when they're transitioning into the private sector. And lots of times it's just the terminology, how they speak, the use of acronyms. Now, private sector uses a lot of acronyms as well, but it's not the same acronyms. So I think it's learning how to communicate in a corporate environment. But there are a lot of skills that veterans have that is not just about their technical knowledge or the process the military uses to build out programs, how to mitigate risk, how to work in a team is very valuable to organizations, especially this day and age. You talk about, I grew up in Washington State, moved to Arkansas in '96, never left here, but I worked with people from all over the country that had traveled all over the world. So you work with a very diverse group of individuals, and you have to function as a team to get the job done, to get the mission done. And I think organizations definitely need that. So, sorry, there's my little soapbox for a second.
Well, and I think the other thing I'll add kind of on behalf of ACDS is with our Titan grant, we do have a focus as being a part of the Closing the Skills Gap grantee. is we focus on veterans and we focus on minorities and folks that maybe don't have those traditional pathways into apprenticeships and into IT careers. So I think the feedback you guys are providing is great insight. And then also the fact that all of our organizations are working towards it is also really good. So
yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. So I did mention that Forge is a participant in the DoD Skill Bridge program that falls under our fellowship. I don't know, they've updated the website recently and moved it to Office of Secretary of Defense. And we have about 20 people now in the pipeline that are starting over the next year. Forge can't hire all those. So we're always looking for relationships we can build with companies that, hey, they'll go through our fellowship program and DoD Skill Bridge, and then maybe that gets them prepared to get either an apprenticeship position within a company, because they're still going to be learning once they get out, or just a direct hire through organizations like JB Hunt or other great Arkansas companies. And then Arkansas itself has passed a lot of laws, excuse me, that benefit veterans and their family members. Like license reciprocation. If people are licensed in other states, they can move to Arkansas and those licenses are recognized. And that's some licensing around the medical industry, teaching, and different things like that. The state legislature has unanimously passed a lot of that, along with retirement. Military pay is not taxed in Arkansas. So Arkansas has a very active and well positioned military friendly, I guess, environment. And I thought I'd just throw that out there. So I think we can pivot over. We have a few minutes left. Marie, did you want to share a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So, and I'll also call Bill Yoder up if he would like to join me. Bill Yoder is our executive director at the Arkansas Center for Data Sciences. Bill, do you want to kind of give a snapshot into who ACDS is?
I think everybody on here knows ACDS. We're a 2-year-old nonprofit, and our mission is the employers need IT skills, and that's a greater demand than the current supply. And I think this last section, we talk about how we can get smart Arkansans trained in IT, but this is an opportunity to bring people who want to be in IT and want to work for Arkansas employers coming from out of state. And I think it's a rich talent pool that has potential and another level of maturity and probably some of the soft skills that Arkansas employers are looking for. And this is just one of 30 episodes during National Apprenticeship Week. And I really appreciate everybody that put this together and participated.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're hopping in on this event and you haven't checked out the rest, it is National Apprenticeship Week. And like Bill mentioned, our goal is really to connect talent and employers and build Arkansas as the tech place in the United States. So we are in the center of the country. Might as well be the hub for tech, right? I noticed a question about speaking a bit about working with disabled vets. So I'll just kind of speak a little bit for ACDS. We work with every aspect of a talent pipeline. And so we don't discriminate. We actually have programs that are built specifically to build fundamental skills for anyone. So it's called the Reskill Arkansas program. It's a partnership with the Office of Skills Development. And so, if anybody is looking to test their skills or learn new kind of fundamental skills and explore those pathways, that is always an option. And it is open to any Arkansan. So we love having folks kind of dip their toe in and learn. Yes, I love to do web design. Yes, I love cybersecurity. Nope, never want to touch this again. So it's a great way to kind of figure out where you want to land. But I'll leave the floor to the others to speak a little bit about their experience with working with the disabled vets. Yeah,
I'll say a couple things. Thanks, Marie. I'm I mean, I'll be transparent. I'm a disabled vet. I'm not 100% disabled, but I think there are opportunities within the state based on what those disabilities are. Working through the Veterans Administration, the VA, there is some development that can be done, and Forge can be part of that. ACDS can be part of that. And then what the state has to support veterans and disabled veterans, there are some special, I guess, set asides for folks that have disabilities to get a vocational rehabilitation, and lots of opportunities. I tell people all the time that, you know, since COVID, everybody's had to learn to, they call it Zoom fatigue, but a lot of organizations are looking at what does a work in office versus remote balance look like. And Bill hit the nail on the head in regards to, there are a lot of smart Arkansans. Let's get them trained, developed, and into the job. And sometimes that can be in their rural community. Sometimes that can be where they're at, where they're just in the office part-time, and then they're working remote the rest. So tons of opportunities just in cybersecurity alone. I've heard over the next 2 years, there's going to be 3 million vacancies nationwide, and that doesn't count IT. That's just cybersecurity. So I think Arkansans can fit into a ton of those. Obviously not all 3 million, because that's about our population. But let's take a big chunk out of that. And again, Arkansas can be the cyber state ahead of everybody else. You look at per capita.
Well, just to piggyback on that, inside engineering technology here at JB Hunt, we have several people that are 100% remote. We do believe that people work best in a collaborative environment. So we love it when the hybrid work model is what we've shifted to in ENT, and we love that. But, you know, anyone that has needs where that isn't conducive for them to be the most productive or able, you know, we are definitely supportive of them and have, like I said, tons of remote people, whether they are local Arkansans working remotely, they're in Canada, they're in California, Florida, you name it. So we are definitely open to any highly qualified candidate, and are those that are almost qualified. And then that's what we, as Forge has talked about, and Scott has through apprenticeships programs, because we have a lot of apprenticeships outside vets that we work with as well. And so we're here, reach out, would love to partner with you and see what we can do to help. You're on mute there, Marie.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think that's a great question. So thank you, Phil, for asking that.
All right. So I think we're about out of time. Just want to give special thanks to everyone that's here today. Excited. Looking forward to working with you all more, and enjoyed it.